Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of adventure. I know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you're here today sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment, you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. Welcome to another episode of Gifts for My Child. I recommend, if you haven't yet, jump back to episodes 1 and episodes 2. Then if you want, you can jump to this one, although I do recommend you listen to all of them. But episodes 1 and 2 are going to give you the context, the background for what are Gifts for My Child. I can let you know, though, that as a reminder, that these are interviews that I created with people before Jayanma was born. Interviews I did back in November and December of 2019, asking people what is advice that they have for my yet-to-be-born child. At that time, we didn't know her name, her gender. We didn't know any of those things. So that's what these are. As as a disclaimer, as an explanation, as I already mentioned, these were interviews done in November and December 2019. Some were in January 2020, but they weren't recent. So these weren't interviews that I did last week. So if you're wondering, why didn't we mention COVID? Why didn't we mention all these other things going on in the world? Anything like that? It's because we had no idea. When I ask people, what's your advice for 2020? I mean, I was asking this in 2019. So all that to say, I don't know what all that to say is. So hope that makes sense to you, though. So my friends, hope you enjoy this week's episode of Gifts for My Child. Check it out. Well, Kikanza and Auntie Kikanza, thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. You're someone that's very, very special to both myself and Adora. And we hope that as the years go on, that is something we can gift to our child too. There's our introduction, introducing you to and the relationship that you will both form. So thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm really looking forward to the four of us.
Yes. So how we'd like to start, I'm sure that this is an icebreaker that you've never heard of or seen ever in all of your facilitation years. If you could introduce yourself to baby, and when you do, also share what's the meaning or story of your name.
Oh, I haven't done that one in a while. So I'm your Auntie Kikanza, and So I have many names, and Kikanza is my favorite name. And the best role that I have is Auntie. The people who call me Auntie are the people that I love the most in the whole world. And it's because I don't have to be a parent. It's because I can get you when you are at your best, and you can get me when I am at my best. And my name, Kikanza Nuri, means my warm light. And I would hope that I can be one of the warm lights in your life.
When I get to the opportunity to hang out with you, Kikanza, the thing that's in the foremost of my mind is to listen. And so I want to start with that. What would you like to share with baby, unprompted? Anything that you want to speak to? What would you like to share?
You better enjoy being in diapers and having people feed you, because it only gets worse. So whatever you think is horrible in the moment just gets worse. This is the best time of your life.
I love this optimism. It's just
Well, not only that, let me say this to your parents in your presence, okay, that your parents don't have a manual. And so they're trying to figure out how to raise you, and you have to teach them. And every time they make a mistake, they're going to have a money to buy you stuff like a menopause Barbie doll, and they're going to have save money, a fund, so that they can send you to college. but they also need to have a fund so that you can get therapy. So every time they mess up, you remind them, put some money in the therapy job so I can get some help.
That sounds like a good plan. So, Kikanza, you are someone, in my opinion, who has a calling and you answer that calling. Could you share a little bit about how you discovered it or the courage it takes to continue to walk that path, whether it's authoring the books you have or facilitating any of the, the life that you have intentionally and career you've intentionally built?
So I'm a good teacher, and people recognized that when I was a kid, and I thought that I was supposed to be a teacher of children. And I realized very quickly that that was not my calling. And it took me a while to figure it out, but my calling is to work with adults who have jobs at their work sites and to help both the people and the organizations that are in transition or ought to be in transition. So I'm good with little people for little periods of time, but I'm better with adults. And so that's how I knew what I was supposed to do. I work as a consultant because I never really wanted a job. And I learned early on about myself that I don't work well constrained by other people's rules. And so I chose freedom. So I had to find a way where I would be free to be creative and I would be free to explore and discover, and I would be free to use as many of my gifts as I could.
One of the things that you shared with me on one of our walks, you said, don't give away your power. And I feel like you're someone that's a really good role model for what that looks like in action. What can you share with baby about that, about owning their power, owning their voice? What?
Well, babies know how to hold on to their power really, really well. So I would say, if you can, to remember what it's like. This is the best time of your life because you control everything. You can take up all the air in the room, and all the adults around you are going to be saying, "Oh, aren't they adorable?" So you want to use your power for good, but at the same time, remember that as you learn to walk and talk and do all kinds of things, that with everything you learn, you will have rules. People will be giving you rules to how to use what you learn and what they define as an appropriate way. And I would say that when you are your youngest, you will still be able to hear your strongest voice. And if you can remember what that sounds like, you are still able to tap into the rhythms of the universe and hear the whispers of the universe most clearly. And if you can hold on to that and listen to those voices first, trust your heart, and listen to what most people can't hear, you will be able to hold on to your power and use it in a way that will make you an extraordinary human being and make the people around you really, really happy that you're there.
I love that. So one of the wonderful ways that Adora and I have been able to continue to grow in relationship with you is through your salons. What for you is the importance of people sitting around a table and having a focused conversation? What would you like to share about baby, or what kind of sales job do you want to do on the importance of something like that?
It's important to me, and I don't know if it would be important to baby. So is this baby, are you baby Earl or baby Nwandu Earl, or baby you got your own name?
So here's the way we did it is I picked the last name, so Adora gets to pick the first and second name. So they are baby Earl, and we'll find out what the other two names are. Adora will decide once baby is born.
Okay. So, baby Earl, I love deep conversations, and I love it when people share who they are. I'm not so interested in what they know. I want to know who they are. And one of my favorite things is long and deep conversations. What is really popular today are short and loud conversations where people impose their opinions or rant about things in the world that they can't do anything about. And I had someone who calls herself my friend say, well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree. And I said, oh, no, I would rather that we continue to talk and so that we understand. We don't have to agree, but I really want to be understood. And I would love to understand your point of view. And she said, well, I don't have time for that. So she doesn't come to my salons. And she self-selects out. She's invited, but she chooses not to come. And I have to affirm that that's a good decision. So the salons are a place for people to come and to share and to connect and to laugh and to eat good food and to meet interesting and interested people. Several years ago, a colleague called me and said his son and the son's young wife were moving to Los Angeles, and would I look out for them? I had no idea what that meant. And I figured that he probably thought that I cook every day or often, and I could invite them over for dinner, and I would kind of like be their home away from home. Well, my life doesn't work like that. I don't cook every day, and I don't have a lifestyle where folks can just pop in and hang out. But I felt badly because I didn't have anything to invite them to. And I met them for coffee and I met them for a meal. And I think they were really expecting to be treated, which is part of the privilege and entitlement of youth, which you will probably have as well. And, but I didn't have much else for them. And so I know that they felt badly about it. They felt shunted. They felt rejected. They felt as though maybe I didn't like them. They did not connect with me because I didn't connect with them in a way that was significant to them. And so after they got settled in LA, then they stopped responding to my calls. So, but that has stuck with me because I think it is important to have something that I could invite people to. And so now I have salons, and although many people don't know what they are, and oftentimes folks won't come because they don't know, they don't get what it is, or they don't get what they're missing. But at least now I can say, come, I'm having some folks over for dinner. I would like you to come. And that's what's important to me. So I get to hear important voices. I get to hear my own voice. I get to share hospitality with people that I care about.
Thank you for sharing that, Kikanza. I appreciate that. What can baby turn to you for? What question, what can they come to you for? What would you like to put out there?
Well, don't come to me looking for a meal on demand. You can come to me for the truth. If you have a question about yourself or about life or about your parents, and you ask me, you can count on me to tell you the truth as I understand it. You can count on me to be a place where it's safe to be who you are, where it's safe to be your most vulnerable self.
And then my last question is, what is your invitation to baby? What would you like to invite them to think about, consider, practice? What is your invitation?
I think the invitation has already been made. You and Adora have invited this child into the world, into your life. And when I'm queen of the universe, it's going to be difficult to be a parent. You'll have to be licensed, and it'll be difficult to get a license. I would give you and Adora a license to be a parent. And so the invitation has been extended. And what I can say about that invitation is halala, good job, go for it.
Kikanza, this means the world to me. I can't wait for you to hang out with baby and for them to get older and for the conversations to evolve and continue and for all of that's to come. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome. And I am not the person who wants to hold the baby while they're still pooping in their pants. So I can wait.
I am very aware.
I can appreciate baby from a distance. And I can appreciate you for loving every single bit, including the stinky poop. But, I've done that. I'll pass.
Well, there's lots of people who are going to be around for that stage. And once baby is here, the stereotype of cute won't be around. So I'm glad that they have someone like you around that's in it for the long haul.
Absolutely. As soon as baby gets past basic civilization, walk, talk, feed themselves, go to the toilet, I'm in.
Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing you soon, Kikanza, and for us to continue this.
Yeah. All righty. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye. Thanks for the lesson.
My pleasure. Bye. Well, Sam, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. It means the world to me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored. So
we're going to start with a little icebreaker that I made up. I'm sure you've never heard of this one before ever in your entire life. You're going to share your name and what your name means or a story about your name.
Oh, wow. Okay. My name is Samira, but I go by Sam. My name is like in Arabic, Samir means wind, and Urdu Arabic, Samir means wind. And I think my name is like just the feminine version of that. I got my name because my mom is Hindu and my dad is Muslim. And my mom was trying to figure out a way to give me a name that would make both sides of the family happy. My dad's side of the family is very particular that I have a Muslim name because I'm a Muslim girl. And what my mom did was my grandmother's best friend on my mom's side, who's my grandmother who's Hindu, her best friend is Muslim. So her daughter had a daughter and named her Samira. So my mom took that as an opportunity and said, I'm just going to name my kid Samira. And then my mom can't be upset about it because it's her best friend's granddaughter's name. And my dad's side of the family can't be upset about it because it's an Arabic name. So everybody wins. And so I acquired the name Samira. Except she changed the spelling out. That was the only difference. That's about it.
I love that. Sounds like some nice interfaith bridging right from the gate.
Mm-hmm. Right at the gate. My mom is all about that strategy.
So, on that note, baby is going to be growing up in an interfaith family at our house too. Adora's Christian. I'm Muslim. Can you share a little bit about, how you found your own definition for your relationship with something greater than yourself? What was that like for you? What does that look like today? Any advice you wanna share on that or insights?
Well, I certainly hope that for your baby, the journey will be a lot easier, because if you're doing this video, then clearly you understand that growing up in a cross-religious household can be beneficial depending on how you teach your young human, and it can be incredibly hurtful depending on how you teach your young human. So I grew up Hindu on my mom's side of the family, Muslim on my dad's side of the family, and I went to a Christian school. My Christian school, however, was very, very secular and taught the Bible from a place of like a lot of compassion and love, and from a place of, we're all equal. And these are just stories that we're learning so we can develop morals and values as we grow older, not just as students, but as human beings as well. On my mom's side of the family, my mom's side of the family, they're very liberal Hindus. And my grandmother was a very pious woman, very loving, pious woman, right? So she would teach me everything about Hinduism. And I think the spirituality, if you ask me what like faith tradition, mainstream faith tradition I connect with the most, it's Hinduism, because of the way I was taught. Literally nothing else, just because of the way that I was taught. And I think how we teach something is so important, as opposed to what exactly we are teaching, right? I mean, the lessons are always there. All religions are trying to teach the same thing. And so from my mom's side of the family, my grandmother taught me Hinduism through a lot of like storytelling, a lot of bedtime stories, when I used to spend a lot of time with her in the summer. And so I developed a lot of affection for the religion, because of her faith in it, because of the compassion that she brought to our relationship and her life in general, because of her faith in it, and the manner in which she and my grandfather existed. My grandmother is a pious Hindu who was raised Hindu in a Hindu family, and my grandfather was an ardent atheist. And they were married for 61 years in like the most harmonious union I have ever seen in my life. So that affection too for each other, where, religion was not, it was a coming together. It was never and it was a very personal thing for each of them. It was never a point of contention for anybody at any given point in time. All of our rituals, all of our visits to temples, so on and so forth, was just very, very cup filling, very soul filling. Like you wanted to do it, like you wanted to go hang out with your family. You wanted to go to the temple. You wanted to learn the history. You wanted to say the prayers. You wanted to say the traditions, because it made you feel a sense of belonging. It made you feel like there was something to it, right? And at no given point in time was anything dismissed or anything tried to be explained away. Hinduism is also a very queer religion, which, I mean, of course, she didn't teach me from a queer lens, obviously. But growing up, after a certain point in time, I started putting two and two together and being like, Grandma, I don't think you know this, but that's what you call trans. That's what you call gender non-conforming, right? So I'd see those things and pick those up. On the flip side, on my father's side of the family, I have a very conflicted relationship with Islam because of my father's side of the family. Not with religion, but because the way that I was raised in it, there are just a lot of pieces of it that are triggering for me, not because of the religion itself or what it teaches, but because of the connections that I make back to the religion because of muscle memory. Like you make those connections to sight, sound, smells, right? So in the same way, when I hear a certain verse, or when I hear a certain kalima, or, something like that, it triggers an unpleasant memory in my mind. And I'm currently working through how to get over that. I'm working through rebuilding or not even rebuilding. I never had an opportunity to build my relationship with Islam. So building my relationship with Islam. But the manner in which they taught it was very oppressive. It was very autocratic, very dictatorial. This is what we are telling you. This is what you should believe. Don't ask any questions. Very much that blind faith ideology as opposed to an inquisitive ideology. So my advice for your baby would be for the parents, not so much for the child, right? Teach your young human, come from a place of compassion, come from a place of love, and then let them do whatever they want to do with it. I came from such a conflicting space when it came to religion. I denounced religion from the age of being 11 because of my father's side of family. I completely denounced religion for a solid, 16 years, 15, 16 years. And I'm one of the most spiritual human beings I have ever met. A highly spiritual human, because I gave myself the opportunity of choice when nobody else did. But no child should have to think for themselves. I'm going to defy everything, even though I feel like everybody hates me in this moment, and give myself the opportunity of choice. It is the adult's responsibility to let the child know you always have choice. Choice is at the forefront of anything. So if you start from that place, I think you're young human, you will be absolutely fantastic in your spiritual journey.
I love that. Thank you for that, Sam. I appreciate that.
Of course.
One thing I really appreciate about you is in past interviews we've done with you and conversations, all these kind of things, is really creating language and space for people to feel like they don't have to be in boxes when it comes to gender or sexual orientation or gender expression. Can you talk about that or share any advice with baby if they're feeling it all ever like in those areas that society's trying to keep them in a box, or they feel like they might not be what society's trying to say is the standard, but they want to express themselves in a unique way that's individualist to them?
Mm-hmm. Maybe if society is ever putting you in a box, you call Uncle Sam. I will take care of it. But outside of that, I'm hoping that by the time, you get to like being the age of 9, 10, 11-ish, where, outward expression is becoming a huge part of your identity, that we would have done the work, we would have taken on the responsibility and done enough of the work to make you feel like you don't need to be in a box. At the end of the day, it is all about your heart and it's all about who you are. Keep the people who love you close to you and maintain that solidarity in your life relationships. Always ensure that you are loving others the way that you want to be loved. And that when society is trying to put you in a box, go through that journey. Don't deny yourself that journey. It's a hard journey, but go through it. If you are questioning why you are feeling the pressure of being put in a box, answer that question. Answer that question on your own terms. And then break that box, right? Once you know the answers to the questions, it is the questions that keep us bogged down so much, because society asks us all these questions. Are you a girl? Are you a boy? Why do you dress like this? Why do you look like that, right? And we don't have the answers to those questions. That's what makes us feel like we're trapped in a box of questions, essentially. But once we have the answers, we can dismantle that box slowly but surely and then become exactly the answer that we want to be. So allow yourself that journey. Even though it's a difficult journey, don't coddle yourself. Allow yourself that journey. Allow yourself to go through it instead of getting over it. That's what I have to say.
I love that. Thank you for that, Sam.
Of course.
You're also a phenomenal poet. Can you share a little bit about expression and creativity and speaking your truth? Anything that you'd like to speak about?
I think words for me have always been my number one safe space. Strangely enough, standing on a stage in front of thousands of people makes me feel like I am at my safest in that moment, even though I might be at my most vulnerable, whatever that means. I feel like it is my safest space when I'm on stage. Words have never failed me. They've always been my number one form of expression. And like I was explaining to a young human poet the other day, I love poetry. I'm good at it, but I don't enjoy it because it's a very cathartic experience. And nobody goes to therapy saying, I loved going through that process and all the trauma that it brought up, right? Nobody enjoys saying that. But what comes out at the end of it, that level of visibility, that level of connection that I have with the audience, that's what I love about poetry. All the conversations that happen after I finish my set, that's what I love about poetry. And I know for a fact, I think I've come to a place where I can say I know for a fact, I know that what I have to say is going to affect at least one person in that room that I'm in. And if it doesn't affect one person in that room that I'm in, then it affects at least one person who watches a video that I put up on social media or some quote that I put up on social media. And it's all about that person. It's not about me. It's about that one person who needed to hear it in that moment. And that's why words and poetry and continuing on this journey, even though it might not be, it's a loving one, but it's not an enjoyable one, feels worth it.
I love that. Is there anything you want to share with baby that I haven't asked, or that's just from the heart that you feel called to share?
I think the last and only thing that I will say to this wonderful baby is that you literally have a community from across the world, thanks to your parents. You have a community that will protect you with words. You have a community that will protect you with fists. You have a community that will protect you no matter what day or no matter what time of day or night it is. You have a community that will come to you and stand with you in solidarity, no matter who you choose to become. So choose to become. be on your journey and choose to become every single day. That's what I'll say.
I love that. And 2 prompts for you.
Please.
Prompt. Baby, you can turn to me if you'd like to talk about, when you need. What would you say?
Absolutely anything, especially if you need to get away from your parents and just have like a cool uncle kind of talk. I got you.
That seems to be the common answers. I don't know what you say. But I'm with
I work with young humans, man. Young humans don't always even if you have the coolest parents. I imagine when I have if I ever had children, right, which is not in the books, but if I had children, I would be the coolest parent on the planet, and they'd still be looking to talk to somebody else. Can't be insulted by that. Can't feel some type of way about it. Just gonna have to take it and run with it.
I 100% am about that life. I 100% agree. It's so helpful to have other caring adults besides your parents.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Last question for you. What is your invitation? What would you like to invite baby to do, think about, be, evolve into, consider? What is your invitation?
My invitation to the baby is come learn how to love animals with me. Animals are like my number one. It's where I started my social justice journey. I do believe controversially that animal rights are equal to human rights. And I wanted to have a pit bull rescue for dogs that have been put in fighting rings one day. And come learn how to love an animal. Come learn how to love a pit bull, and you will learn how to love all other creatures in your life. So I invite you to do that. Let me teach you how to love dogs.
You know what I love about that is I only had time for one more question, but if I had time for another question, it was going to be, tell me about your dog. So I feel like you tied it in perfectly. That was so wonderful.
Your kid gets to know Sherlock. Your kid will love anything on this planet. That's true love, man. That's true love.
Yes. Sam, thank you so much for being a part of my child's life. I so value our relationship has now spanned almost 7, 8 years. So
easy.
I really appreciate that we've stayed in touch, and that you're going to continue to be involved in our lives. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And everything that I said on this interview is not lip service. I'm genuinely very happy that my friends are having babies, so I can be the cool uncle. So just let me do it.
Definitely.
All right.
Thanks, Sam. You're the best. Let's
All
talk
right. Take
soon.
care. All right. Bye-bye.
Well, Timothy, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. Really means a lot.
Yeah.
How we like to start is if you could introduce yourself to baby. And the way I want you to do that is to share your name and what your name means to you.
Okay. Well, hi. My name is Timothy Mays. What my name means to me is it means legacy. It means a chance and an opportunity for a redo in life, particularly because my father and I shared the same name. And so my father, before he passed, was very expressed that he was very proud of me because he felt like I was a improved version of who he was as a man. And so by carrying on his name as a young person, I didn't like having the same name because we got compared a lot. But to carry the name now is an honor and a blessing. And so it's something that I'm truly proud to be able to wear as a badge and to continue to move the name Timothy forward. But then in addition to that, to also just be proud of the fact that there is some, spiritual connection to my name and, further affirming and reminding me that, my presence here on earth is, to do what God has called me to do. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, the way I know Timothy, we out here in LA, we did poetry shows together.
Yeah.
And we've just been building and doing a lot of similar things in different ways, different areas for many years.
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to add to context?
Yeah.
How we know each other?
Yeah, I think how we know each other is great, but I think one of the things that I wanted to, expound upon was uh, the feeling of knowing each other. I think from the beginning, the first introduction of us getting to know each other, and from then on, it's really been about building community in a very selfless, egoless way, if that's even a word, but without ego, and really about love and care for other people. And every time I've been around your dad, uh, it's always been in the company of folks from all walks of life and various different cultures. And so when I think about how we've met each other and how we've continued to connect with each other, it's generally been about building community and helping others. And so I think that's one of the things that is important to know about how we met in our relationship.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So let's start there. For you, why is it important to build community? What does it mean to build community?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think building community is important and essential, because community reminds you of who you are. It reminds you of the core values that you have, and it holds you accountable to those core values, and it also loves you and embraces you when you need it, right? And it gives you the space and environment to know that you belong and that you're welcome, and that you're cared for. And so as we kind of navigate and move through life, sometimes experiences can be very isolating, and sometimes the world can make you feel as if you are isolated. But I think your community reminds you of who you are, and that your heart and your intention for doing things is rooted out of the love and the work that the community has done before you. And so as long as you always remember and move forward knowing that community is essential and most important, and that community can exist in various ways. And it doesn't just have to be in a large group, but community could be also within yourself, with your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences. And that can also translate outward to other folks as well.
On that last one, you started to talk about feelings.
Yeah.
Feelings can be so confusing, especially when they're so strong. And
yeah.
What has been your journey, or what is some advice you have about the importance about talking about your feelings? And
Sure.
if anything, reflections you want to share on that?
Sure. I don't know if everyone, subscribes to the idea of superheroes, but I believe feelings are your superpower. If you can use that as a metaphor. Feelings are the things that remind you. They're kind of your senses. And they are your senses, but they allow you to know and understand how you operate and how you want to conduct yourself in given situations. And I think the more that you allow yourself to experience the wide range of feelings that exist, the more you can draw from that power. We talked about it in a separate conversation, but your feelings have the ability to draw people in a way that you may not be able to do otherwise with your words, right? Sometimes folks will see you crying, and whether that cry is from sadness or from pure joy, it will draw other people to you. And sometimes it has the ability to repel folks when you need it to. But all of those experiences and feelings are healthy. And it's important for you to be able to experience those things and allow yourself to experience those things, because once you figure out how you want to experience your emotions, you allow, or you give people the courage to experience the fullness of their emotions as well. So use your powers for good, for good, and it'll always come back to you in a very beautiful way. I won't say positive, but beautiful way. In a beautiful way.
I would love for you too, if you could talk a little bit about education. I know you're an educator now,
Yeah.
and you read, you love education, but I know that hasn't always been your
Yeah.
passion. So anything you want to share about education?
Yeah. I think one of the things that I learned most about education is that education is important, and it's also a superpower. And it's a tool that you can definitely use to help build out what you want to experience in life. I think it's important to always challenge yourself to know and understand that your education should not be limited to a particular classroom or a particular environment, but you should allow yourself to pursue education in everything that you do. There's an opportunity for you to learn in everything that you do. Be inquisitive, be confidently inquisitive, because the second that you lose your why and your ability to ask questions is the second that you diminish your voice just a little bit. And so, as you continue to ask questions and inquire about what is going on and what's happening in the world, the more educated you become about what's happening, and you can make more informed decisions. And I think when you make informed decisions, you allow yourself to move out of the way of harm or hurt of yourself and others. And so, books are amazing. Sometimes, people will say things like being smart is uncool, but that is not true. Being smart is a superpower. Using your intellect and your words and your feelings wisely can educate yourself and others around you. And yeah, yeah.
Hey, pay attention to Uncle Timothy.
Yeah, I'll say this too, just really quickly. I think too, with education, I think it's important to know and understand that education or being educated doesn't necessarily make you better than anyone, but it does make you more responsible. And so the second that you realize that someone may not be as gifted or as privileged as you are, to have been surrounded and build community around being educated, that you have an opportunity and a chance to expose and pull other people in to the processes of how to truly become educated about self, about love, and about community as well.
I love that.
Mhm.
What about you talked about finding your voice. What can you
Yeah,
share about creativity, expression, all of
yeah,
that kind of fun stuff?
yeah. We're having a whole conversation about superpowers tonight. Um, Creativity. I explain to folks a lot that I believe creativity is just imagination in its adult form. Sometimes we tell young people to be, oh, they're just using their imagination, and then when we get to a certain age, we encourage folks not to be imaginative. We encourage them to be realistic. And then we operate or move it into a space of creativity. And I would encourage you to always move and think about ways that you can be creative and use your imagination to think up things that don't currently exist, because those are the things that are necessary to help heal and forward the world, to forward yourself, uh, and to help build a stronger sense of community. When you learn the power of being able to be creative, you learn that there's a huge responsibility that comes with it, because you have the ability and the opportunity to advocate for yourself, and you have the opportunity to advocate for others. And when you know and understand that your voice has the ability to do that, you start to use it in a very powerful way. So I won't tell you to write on the walls with markers because I don't want dad to be upset. But please doodle on as much paper and canvases as you possibly can, and know and understand that everything it has art in it, and you can use and draw from anything as inspiration, especially those feelings. So yeah.
Well said. So Adora and I, mommy and daddy, we're going to work very hard to make sure that you, baby, feel very proud to be Black and feel in love with your Blackness, your hair, your skin, everything about it, your history. We also know that society is stacked against us in instilling that. And there's going to be times where you're going to have doubt, worry, anxiety. When we're wondering, Uncle Timothy, if there's anything that you want to share with our child to help us instill that pride. Any advice when, as a young person struggling with anything you want to share?
I think one of the most powerful things that I could remind you of is that out of all the millions and billions of people in the world, there's only one you. And I think sometimes we get lost in comparisons between ourselves and others based on materialistic things and facial features and money and things of that nature. But you have something that no one else has, which is your DNA, your specific DNA. You have those beautiful facial features. You have the way that you think, the unique pathways in your brain, and all those things were given to you with a specific purpose. And it's important for you to remember that everything that you have is unique and specific to you. And when you start to think about or have those days where folks attempt to make you feel as if you are unworthy or that you're different or whatever the case may be, it's important for you to understand and know that God cared about you so much that you were given special qualities and characteristics that no one else in the world has. And if you operate and move out of that understanding, you'll know what your place is in the world. And when I say know your place in the world, I mean know that you are valuable, that you are loved, and that you are cared for, and that you always have something to contribute to wherever you are and in whatever space you are in.
I love that. What can our child turn to you for? Or you can turn to me when you need, or if you need, or when you want to talk about, what can they do then?
Yeah, you can turn to me for community. You can turn to me for love. You can turn to me for care. It may be radical to your mom and dad, but you can turn to me for conversation about things that that you may or may not feel comfortable talking to mom and dad about. I hope that you would, because your parents are phenomenal, and sometimes you may not think that they are, but they definitely are. And I want you to know that you can turn to me for encouragement. You can turn to me for advice. You can turn to me for a listening ear. And you can turn to me for somebody, just knowing that you have somebody who is genuinely in your corner, who wants to see you succeed in everything that you want to do, and whatever your idea of success is. And last but not least, you can turn to me and know that you have somebody who loves you and cares for you, even though I may not be in the physical space with you, or I may not be around very often. But that is the power of community, is knowing that there are folks, even that you are not in regular contact with, who care for you, purely just because of the community that you are a part of.
Well, thank you so much, Timothy. I look forward to y'all getting to hang out and all of us cause some ruckus together and some good times.
Oh yeah. Is your mom still here?
What do you mean?
In Chicago, I thought your mother was working at
Oh
Loyola.
yeah. No, she doesn't work for Loyola
Oh,
anymore. Yeah.
okay.
But we'll be back to. But my family still lives in Wisconsin, so we'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay.
Last question for you. What would you like to invite baby to do, to think about? What's your invitation to baby?
Yeah. My invitation to you is to, again, ask as many questions as you possibly can. Don't lose your ability to inquire and to think about things in a way that is unique to you and specific to you. I also invite you to be courageous and to constantly reflect on self. I invite you to think about um, what self-care and self-love looks like for you, because sometimes in life we are separate from mom and dad, and we have to make difficult decisions on our own. And when you understand and know what you really truly care about and what's important to you at the core, you'll always make the right decision because that was the decision that you felt was best in your heart. And so I invite you to think about that and consider that always. Reflect on what decision, what thought process, what feeling, what emotion is being called for you to use at that particular point in time.
I love that. Well, thank you, Uncle Timothy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Aretha, thank you so much for being a part of this. It means the world to me. Thank you.
No problem.
So the way we're starting is, could you introduce yourself to baby and share what's the story or meaning of your name?
Ooh. Okay. Hello, baby. I am Aretha Scruggs. I'm a friend of your father, Tom, and your mom. My name, Aretha, it's Greek, I believe, and it means righteous one. And that's all I know so far.
How have you sat with it throughout the years?
How I sat with it?
Yeah, like what has it meant to you, or
Okay.
your relationship with the name?
Yeah, well, righteous one. I think it really I think I have a strong sense of right and wrong, which is good and bad. But it makes me fight for others. It makes me want to stand up for what I know is right. And so that has shown up in ways like, I fight for my students. I fight for, the different stories and narratives that they tell themselves, and trying to fight for them to find their voice and find that true self, that authentic voice that wants to come out in their speaking or singing voice. But I also do it in, the causes that I feel strongly about. I like it burns me up inside with the different causes that, like, racism, sexism, all those things. It gives me kind of a righteous anger. And so I find myself in fighting for those things, in getting my master's degree, and thinking about education, in just in the entertainment industry, just fighting for equality for all people. So that name, Righteous One, just it makes me, it is showing up in justice, in fighting for not only other people, but for my own voice to be heard. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you started to talk about that. What advice would you have for baby and finding their voice, owning their voice, all of that kind of stuff?
Okay. Baby, there will be so many things in life that will take away or try to take away your voice. My advice for you will be to always return to that sense of self that you came into the world with. Right now, you are you are in mommy's belly, and you are the most loved being from your mother and your father and all the people who are waiting to meet you. And when you come out, that love will be expressed as you feel their love, as you feel their kisses, as you feel their arms around you, and you feel like the world is so secure. And from that security, from that place of security and love, you are like totally free to laugh, to play, to run around, to almost want to run out in the street. You feel such freedom to be your true authentic self, who you came out of the womb to be. But it's in those places in life can tell you the opposite of all of those things. Life can tell you that you are not loved. Life can tell you that resources are scarce. Life can tell you that you're not enough, and that nothing you do is right, and that your parents don't love you, and that you're not smart enough. And so in those negatives, you lose that original self that is free, that is totally like who God created you to be. So my advice to you is to always, no matter how old you get, when you turn 16, when you turn 30, when you turn 40 and 50, and your parents are still there and loving you, and my advice would be to lean into that love, to never forget how much that love and that sense of security never leaves you. It's the lies of what the world wants to tell you, that you're not enough, and that resources are scarce, that makes you not free. But leaning into that love of mother and father originally, of your grandparents, of the community that you surround yourself with, that is where you will find that original baby, that original most beloved one, where you will find yourself again, your true, authentic self.
I love that. Amen. Thank you.
Okay.
Could you share a little bit about, for you, how did you find your passion and then have the courage to go for it?
How did I find my passion? I think my passion found me. And I think, baby, for you, you'll probably see instances and glimpses of who you will be. Like as you get older, and as you're even through a young age, you'll find those things that you love and that you gravitate towards. For me, that was music. I grew up singing since the age of 3 and 4 years old with my family. We were always surrounded by music. My mom is one of 6 girls, and she plays the piano. They were a group, the Pool Sisters. And then, so my mom sort of modeled me and my sisters after her sister. So all 4 of us sang. I'm a twin, and there's 4 girls in my family. So she played for the 4 of us, and my dad played the bass. So we were a traveling family. So from the age of 3 to 18, we were like always on stage performing. So there were parts of it I didn't like, but then the sense of authenticity and creativity that I did find even at that early age is what I came to find later in life again. Not the whole sense of singing on a stage, just singing for entertainment purpose, but being able to communicate and be a part of transformation of people's lives through my voice, through singing. And so it was in singing, after I graduated from college, that I was able to then step into my professional career as a background vocalist. And it was through the challenges of that, of being able to hold my voice on a stage, my natural voice, I found like I was getting sick a lot, and my natural voice couldn't take the pressures of performing 2 nights a week. So that's where I found vocal coaching. And so vocal coaching, went through that whole thing and then got certified to do that. So then the coupling of finding my voice on a stage singing, coupled with being able to help others do the same thing in my private practice as a vocal coach, that's where it was like it was the missing link of what originally as a kid I was just singing before. Like it was just singing, and it was sort of like I was expected to entertain people, but it was through the sort of finding the challenge of my natural gift not working on the stage, that the challenge helped me to find a deeper meaning behind the singing, coupled with my faith, believing that I was born with a purpose. God had a purpose for my life. Those things came to help me really hone in and own this gift of singing and how singing could communicate, but also communicate to others that they have a voice just like I have a voice to share. So that's how I found it, and that's how I live into it every day of my why. Every day of my why is living into that purpose of not only using my voice to sing and communicate myself, but helping others to do that. So I hope that answered the question.
It did. Helping others like me. You helped me prepare the song that I sang at one of Adora's and I's wedding.
Yes, how special.
That was so much fun, and I was so grateful for it.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you want to share, anything on your heart that you want to share that's just unprompted that you just want to speak to for baby?
Yeah. Baby, I am so honored to have known your parents, to have been a part, at least of a little inkling of a conversation when they were just thinking about who you might be and thinking about maybe having a baby, and to now 1 year or more later know that you are on your way and you're knocking on mommy's belly ready to come out. I am so excited to meet you. I know that you have an amazing community that is just waiting to meet you, and amazing, brilliant parents that are waiting to pour their all into you. I just want you to know how much you are loved, that you are so uniquely gifted already. You have amazing things that have already been planted in you, and I can't wait to see how they express themselves in the world. You have can't wait to see the impact that you will have on this world, and I am just thrilled to have known you before, and can't wait to see you when you come out. So just know that you are special. You are special, and as I tell my own 3-year-old daughter, you are smart. You are beautiful, you are strong, and you are loved. Oh, beloved one. That's all.
I love that. on that note, what can baby turn to you for?
Okay, baby. Baby, you can turn to me for good times. you can turn to me to find the joy in life. Maybe that's too big of an answer, but whatever. You can turn to me to find the silver lining in life. I think I am good at finding ways to adapt to situations and still find the joy in it. You can look to me for babysitting. You can look to me for good laughs. I love to laugh, and I hope that you will love to laugh also. And I look forward to laughing with you. And you can play with my 3-year-old.
And we got the babysitting thing on record, so.
Hey, I get it. Hold me to it, because people be saying all kind of stuff. I'm serious about it. Yeah.
And then my last question for you is, what's your invitation to baby? What would you like to invite baby to consider, to think about, to do, to become? What's your invitation?
Mm-hmm. my invitation to you, baby, is to consider why God put you on this planet. Out of all the two parents that you could have in the world, you got your two parents. Out of all the places you could have been born, you are being born in Los Angeles, California. Out of all of these two cultures that could come together, your two parents' cultures have come together to perfectly create and blend to make you. So my invitation, as you age, as you get older, as you finally listen to this and understand all the people who are lovingly leaving these words for you, my invitation to you is to ask and consider what possibly could God have been thinking when he thought of you and put you so uniquely crafted you together into this wonderful family, into this city, into this country, into this time, for such a time as this. Why consider, why has God purposefully created you? And there's my question.
I love that. I'm thinking about that. And, I hope that these interviews provide some context and some trails that you can go down, baby.
That's right.
One of my intentions.
Right. That's beautiful. I love it. I love the idea.
Well, thank you, Aretha. You're the best.
No problem, Tom. I'm honored you asked me to do it.
And we gotta catch up soon. Have a brainstorming session. I missed those.
Let's do it. I'm for it. I'm down for it.
All right, and I can't wait. I can't. Oh, baby's due the 26th.
Oh my God, this month.
Yep.
Right around the corner.
Yep.
Well, so baby's in place. Is his head down here? His head ready to go? Is it in place? Oh yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I know. Once you pass 37 weeks, it's ready to go. They're like, let's go.
So yeah, we're
just
right there.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I can't wait to hear what if it's a boy or a girl. Oh my gosh, you've been holding it this long. That is pretty awesome.
I can't wait for y'all to meet each other and to hang out and for us to sing some songs together.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Well, this was great, friend.
Well, thanks again, Aretha. I appreciate getting the chance to connect with you and talk about this.
No problem. I'm excited for you.
Thank you, and I'll be in touch. I'll send you pictures.
Okay, please do. Please do. Okay. Well, have a wonderful, and I can't wait to hear what's going on and catch up with you.
I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated.
Okay. All right.
Thanks,
Tom.
Aretha.
No problem. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. It means the world to me. I want to thank my guests from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this episode, for offering their gifts to my daughter, to Jayanma, for being open and vulnerable and honest and so gracious with their time and their wisdom. I said it to you on the call when I was interviewing, but I want to say now, thank you from my heart so much. I hope you will stay tuned for next week's episode, where you are going to hear from 4 of my friends that I interviewed, and we sit down and I ask them different questions, some the same that you've heard this week. You're going to hear new perspectives, and then some new fresh perspectives that I asked people. Any feedback you have, anything you'd like to add on, any advice you'd like to share with Jayanma or me as a parent, tom@tomearl.com. That'd be so much appreciated. If you want to support the show, I invite you to become a member of the Celebration Academy. You can learn more by going to tomearl.com/courses. You can become a member for as little as $10 a month. You can support the show and get access to a ton of courses and professional development, leadership development, business development resources at your fingertips. All right, my friends, I look forward to you joining us next week. Thank you. Peace and blessings. One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.